What is up? What is cooking, my people? Hope you're enjoying the songs of the day. Should we make a playlist? I think we should at the end of this. Screw it. We might make a playlist. Call it the escape plan. Anyway, if you want that, let me know. Leave a like or a comment, whatever. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about, should you start as an appointment setter or should you start as a closer? We've obviously been introduced to high ticket sales, what it is, a bit of a recap, right? What are the roles of an appointment setter and a closer? Very simple. A business spends money on advertising, does organic content. This generates eyeballs of people who are interested in their services that they are selling. That then they submit their information, they follow on Instagram, they comment on an Instagram, they DM on Instagram, whatever it is. The appointment setter's job is to then call those people or DM those people, depending on how that business is set up, and then qualify them and book them into a call with the closer, who then takes those calls on Zoom and tries to turn them into clients. That is the simplest way I can put it. And it's a great recap, if I don't say so myself. But anyway, should you start as a setter or a closer? So naturally, I get this question a lot when people figure out about the industry. What would be better for me, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna quickly say it in short. If you have zero sales experience, if you have zero business experience whatsoever, and you are completely new to this industry, and you don't have a lot of confidence at the moment in your sales abilities, start as an appointment setter. If you have significant sales experience, obviously high ticket sales is different to door-to-door sales, face-to-face sales, all of that. But sales is sales at the end of the day. If you believe that you have that confidence in your high ticket sales framework, you have the confidence to handle objections, which we'll get into in another day, but objections are simply what can prevent a sale from happening because a client has a logistical problem, if you will, or fear getting in the way of them making this decision that can change their life, right? If you're confident, then obviously start as a closer. Right? I would recommend starting as a closer if you have that belief in yourself and your abilities, and give it a go. But we're going to be talking about both scenarios, right? So let's say you choose scenario A, which is starting as an appointment setter. So starting as an appointment setter, you are in a good position because you now have less pressure than you would if you were closing, right? Closers have more pressure, which I'll get into later. On what exactly that is. But naturally, as an appointment setter, there's less pressure on you to perform because you're not the one who generates the business money. You are only there to book meetings. Obviously, you play a part in the business making money, but you aren't the one actually collecting the money yourself. You are setting the meetings up. So there is less pressure on you to perform. Now, this is a good thing because it means that you don't have pressure on you to perform, so you can have the time to learn more about the industry, more about the business you work with, the audience you sell to, learn more about your sales skills. So that's the first thing, learn. The second thing, you can earn while you're doing all of that, right? You can start making a bit of money because you're setting meetings. You might have a base pay as well, like we discussed in the last video. Sometimes setters get base pay. So naturally, you can earn and learn at the same time, preparing yourself best for closing. Now, on top of that, as an appointment setter, you will have access to the closers in the company, the sales team managers, and business owners, I would imagine. Most business owners are very invested into what is going on in the operations. Some of the time, they take a step back and they outsource it all. But most of them have interaction with the sales team to some extent. So that means you're getting mentorship from those people, right? Now, that's great because you are able to, ask them questions about your closing process, framework, all of this. You can learn, earn, and you're able to watch call recordings that the business has of sales calls that the closers at the company that you represent and work with are taking. So you're able to watch those call recordings and get a feel for it and be like, oh, this is what it's like. This is oh, that's how you handle that objection. Oh, that's how you do this. That's how you do this. And you're learning, you're taking notes, you're implementing, you're practicing, you're role playing, right? Role playing is a mock sales call. So you're practicing your skills because the best way to practice sales is by actually doing it. So you do a mock sales call. So that's what you're doing. This is how it should be going if you're an appointment setter, especially when you're starting out, right? You should follow that process and there should be a clear path to closing. Most businesses want you to progress. It is the natural progression. They're not going to stand in your way if you want that. Obviously, if you don't want to progress, they're not going to force you to. But if you want to progress, make more money, and as well as a lot of other benefits, then they will actually support you in doing that. And typically what we expect and I'm used to seeing is it takes 3 to 6 months for that progression to happen. Now, a caveat to everything I just said, appointment setting is more competitive than closing, right? Appointment setting, due to the fact that it's a more accessible skill, you only really need a phone to do it. You don't need a laptop. And it's not as highly skilled as a closer. It means that it's more competitive. So landing a role can be hard, especially if you don't know, how to land good roles. Again, we're going to be talking about this in the coming days. But landing roles as a whole can be harder as an appointment setter to land very good roles, lucrative roles, to actually start making good money, to actually have a clear progression into closing. And where, if you do progress into closing, you're making 10, 15, 20K per month. Those are the kind of companies you want to work with, obviously. So that can be a bit harder to find because they are more competitive, those roles. Now, another thing to note is if you start as a setter, you are going to have this, these feelings in your head, and your mind is going to play tricks on you. I like to call it your inner bitch, right? Your inner bitch is going to speak to you, and it is going to basically try and keep you comfortable where you are. It's trying to keep you stagnant. Essentially, when you're an appointment setter, you've obviously given some of the responsibility of how you make money to someone else, right? The closer is a big part. How the closer is performing plays a big part in how much money you make. So that obviously means that if you're making, let's say, 5K a month or 3K a month, let's say, as an appointment center, your inner bitch will tell you and question you whether you are capable of making that amount as a closer, whether you're capable of performing at the level where you are responsible for the money you make completely, right? Some people can crumble to that. Some people can face that and they're completely fine. But I've seen it with both happen quite often. So you don't want to stay stagnant. You don't want to stay comfortable. Staying comfortable is just like, you might as well be going backwards, right? You always have to be progressing and you always have to be improving, and you shouldn't be setting forever, right? That shouldn't be your goal. You should have bigger goals than that, and you should know that you are made for more than that. Setting is a great role, but closing is really where it's at. Closing is what we want to be doing. So there's that to keep in mind if you start as an appointment setter. Now, if you start as a closer, congratulations. You have a lot more responsibility and you make double the money pretty much if you are good at your job. So as a closer, like I said, there's more pressure. There are expectations of you that you have to be performing at a high level consistently. You are able to perform very well on sales calls. You are able to handle objections extremely well. And on top of that, you have a close rate of at least 20 to 30%. What I mean by that, let's say you take 10 calls in a day, you would be expected to close 2 to 3 of those deals, right? Of the 10 calls you take or you speak to people, you would be expected to close 2 to 3 of those. So if, let's say, you take 60 calls and you've closed maybe 6 deals, there are going to be question marks about you. And that can be tough, especially when you just start as a closer. But again, I have had clients, we work together, and obviously having that support from us, they do extremely well starting as closing. And we review their calls, we give them that constant feedback, and they're able to really, really improve and kind of steady on in the whatever journey. And they're able to make it work and make it stick. But it's important to be aware, obviously, if you start as a closer, there is more pressure because you are responsible for the business making money. You are a big role in that. So that is important to note. Naturally, similar thing-ish to setting, there's less competition for closers because closing is a real art, it's a skill, right? You're turning someone from like a complete stranger into a paying client, someone that can wire you 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 within 30 to 45 minutes. That is a real art, that's a skill. And so because of that, there is less competition. So there is a good chance that if you get through the interview and you show the business owner that you're a good person and that you are coachable and that you have all these other factors that they're looking for, that you get hired. But again, more pressure, right? Business owners aren't afraid to turn around and, basically kick you out if you're not performing because it's their business and they need to be making money. However, closing is amazing, right? I don't want to make it sound like doom and gloomy. Like if you back yourself, you can definitely close. If you put in the effort, you can definitely close. But if you're expecting it to be a walk in the park, I just want to make it clear, like it's not going to be a walk in the park. Nothing is. Whether you're trading, doing drop shipping, whatever you're thinking about making money online. But again, like we said, put that to the side. You're focused on this, high ticket sales. Closing is not a walk in the park. Neither is appointment setting. But if you give it your all, you can learn extremely quickly and develop into elite talent. So it's important to note that, and it's important to back yourself at the end of the day, okay? So those are the key differences. Like I said at the beginning, no sales experience, probably Setter is the best place to go. You have some sales experience and you back yourself and you feel like you have a good framework that's tried and tested, perfect. Then start as a closer and make the big bucks, all right? Pleasure as always, and I'll see you guys on day 5. Damn.